Obviously, the market today seems to be very fixated on the risks of tighter monetary conditions, concerns about inflation. We're seeing a little bit of widening out on this Bund BTP spread. How real or otherwise do you think is the prospect that the ECB might actually pivot on its current position on easy monetary policy? Is the market understanding correctly the shift in inflation fighting that we may be about to see?
Hi, good morning, and it's very good to be with you. I believe that what we're seeing globally is a situation where we have higher inflation for longer, and therefore that the withdrawal of monetary accommodation is likely to be earlier than previously envisaged. That's been the case, or will be the case very clearly in the United States, given the recent comments by the chairman of the Fed and some of the discussions in the FOMC and the forward guidance that has been provided. And I think that this is something that will happen over time also in the euro area in terms of continuing to reduce the asset purchases. And at one point, interest rates will have to increase. But what I see is that the calendar is substantially more pushed into the future than in the case of the United States. And therefore, you're likely to see some policy divergences over the shorter term, given the different speeds with which both areas are reacting to inflation data.
Should we be fearful then of Europe's ability to maintain current growth rates if we see that shift? It's interesting, this morning we've got the Eurogroup meeting where the finance ministers are discussing a change to the debt fiscal rules in the EU. And I think there is some surprise in the market that there is resistance from the new German team and also from the Netherlands and some other Northern European countries. Have we miscalculated here exactly how these debt easing rules may be shifting?
We'll see what emerges from those conversations, but I do not have doubts about the ability of European policymakers, and in particular of the European Central Bank, to keep the inflationary situation under control. You're bringing in the issue of fiscal policy, and it is true that the pandemic has led to a very significant accumulation of debt in European countries, and also to some need to rethink perhaps how flexible one needs to be regarding those as fiscal norms going forward, and the extent to which there is a need to be more flexible in allowing the conversions of debt to GDP numbers back to more reasonable levels. So I think that there are going to be different positions. My impression is that the German government may be a little bit more open to having a conversation, but that doesn't mean that is going to be, instant flexibility. I think that's going to be a complex conversation, a complex negotiation, but I think it would be important that there is a better realization of the difficulties and that there is more flexibility in the fiscal norms going forward while still maintaining adequate degrees of discipline.